Hello and welcome to News Tonight on GHOne Television. I'm Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Coming up, a possible delay in reopening of senior secondary schools as Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools demands payment of arrears latest by December 31. And Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana threatens indefinite strike over breach of agreements. President-elect John Dramani Mahama reaffirms dedication to promoting boxing and other sporting disciplines in a bid to push Ghana on the global stage. And on the international front, House Ethics Report reveals Matt Gaetz regularly paid for sex, including payment to an underage girl. We've got details of these and more. Please stay with us. And tonight we begin with our insight focusing on education. Now, secondary schools may delay reopening as Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, CHAS, demands payment of arrears by December 31. In a statement released earlier today, CHAS warned schools will not reopen as scheduled on January 3, 2025 if the arrears remain unpaid. Now, let me bring you some extracts of that statement, and it reads, we refer to our earlier correspondence regarding the financial challenges facing schools across the country, dated 20th September 2024 and 12th August 2024. We also wish to recall the assurances given by you, Honorable Minister for Education, during our recent Zoom meeting held on Wednesday, December 2024, where you promised to release funds to schools to enable effective school operations. It continues, while we acknowledge the recent disbursement of some funds to schools, we regret to inform you that this release has not fully addressed the critical financial needs of our institutions. Specifically, all recurrent monies owed to schools remain unpaid. Arrears for perishable items are yet to be settled. The recent disbursement of funds appears to have excluded single track and day schools, leaving them facing significant financial constraints. Funds for transporting food items from distribution centers to schools have not been released, creating logistical and financial burdens for school heads. Some schools have not received funds to cover essential utility bills, posing a serious threat to the smooth operations of schools. Now, given these outstanding financial obligations, we strongly urge the Ghana Education Service to prioritize the immediate release of all outstanding recurrent monies, arrears for perishable items, and they ask to take note of exclusion of boarding schools in recent disbursement, funds to cover transportation costs for food items, funds to settle outstanding utility bills. We believe that these funds are critical in the successful reopening of schools on January 3, 2025. Without these resources, school heads will face insurmountable challenges in managing daily operations, providing quality education, and ensuring the well-being of students. So you just saw that statement from CHAS on the urgent request for release of some monies from the Ministry of Education. We'll stay a while on this matter and speak to ranking member on the Education Committee and MP for Akachi North, Peter Nochikotoe. Good evening and thank you for your time. Now, this is the strongest indication yet from CHAS about their inability to reopen school on January 3. We've seen some of the concerns they have raised, but you said on the committee in Parliament, why have we allowed this problem to fester?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me state categorically that the Committee on Education has not sat down for this to happen. as a committee, we recommended to the House to approve a budget that was presented by the Minister for Education to the committee for various programs and activities, recurrent and capex, or that is the capital expenditure of the ministry. So we approved the money, and it's left with government to release the money to the Ministry of Education. If you listen to us carefully for some time now, we have been talking. The Ministry of Education, I don't know if it is now suffering from financial disability. Because look at what is happening. WAEC is unable to release the results of 2024 WASE candidates because money is not available to be given to WAEC to carry out the process. Now, the heads of conference of senior high schools are also saying that if money is not released to them, they cannot reopen school on the 3rd of January. So I don't know what is happening to the Ministry of Education. The whole place
from where you sit,
in disorder.
Mr. Kotai, from where you sit,
yes.
What is the problem? Is it the unavailability of funds or the refusal of the ministry to disburse these funds?
It is the refusal of government. I will not even say Ministry of Education. It's the failure of government to release the approved budgetary allocation to the ministry to enable it to carry out its functions. But in any case, I also think that the Ministry of Education is not prioritizing education. What I mean education is a release of money to certain organizations that need money most to run their activities and programs, like WAEC and then the senior high schools. If they release money to them in time, I don't think we will be hearing all that is happening now. So I think the ministry must also come in, prioritize their activities. Yeah.
Just give me a second. Let me bring in a member of the National Council of Parent Teacher Associations, NCPTA, Irene Sam. She's the Deputy PRO. She joins us via Zoom on this matter. Now, we've heard from Charles. We are yet to receive a response on this particular ultimatum from the Ministry of Education. We are told that we will receive one soon, hopefully. But for you as the Parent Teacher Association, the kids are always suffering the politics of payments, non-payments, quality over substandard food. What exactly do you know to be at the heart of this particular problem?
Thank you very much for having me here, my dear. Let me say a good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners as well. So the issue is that why are we where we are now? That has to do with government commitment not being met promptly. And we know that some of these commitments is coming along with the free senior high school policy, which has been a flagship program for the NPP government. Over 8 years now, this program has been run, and there has not been a single review of it. And the review, we are looking at challenges that has come out with it and how best as major stakeholders can sit along the table, dilate the issue and see where we can, pin a finger and then resolve the issue amicably. But that has not been done over the years. And so this is where we find ourselves now. The unrelease of finance or funds to fund some of these commitments that government is committed to, which has not been forthcoming over the years. And we see it escalating to this effect. We are here starting with WAEC holding our Ross results, and then this issue has also come up from Charles. But we are a bit surprised that over these 8 years, Charles has not been coming out to talk about issues regarding non-payment of commitments of government. They have always remained silent over the years. They have always meant that everything is ongoing, on well, so there is nothing wrong with it. But we as a council has always been speaking, has always been biting that these issues need to be looked at again And this is where we find ourselves now. And we are very much happy that Charles has now come out confidently and boldly to relate with the issue that is on the ground, that all of us, in one way or the other, can see where the issues are and where we can really lay a finger for us to come to a very good conclusion.
Well, ma'am, to be fair, Charles has occasionally come out to comment about these things, but let's not divert from the issue here. So we are facing a real threat. January is just around the corner. We still haven't heard from the ministry. Do you have hope that the monies will be paid? If not, what then happens to the kids and the ripple effect of their inability to go to school come January?
Yes, we are hopeful that something could be done, right now. Because where we stand, we don't really stand very well. January is just about 2 weeks away, and they are going to resume on the 3rd of January. So if anything is not done properly right now, and we don't also want to see the area whereby the academic calendar, which have been epileptic for some years now, shouldn't be like that, because it has really hampered education, which we don't want it to continue. We don't want any system to be changed right now. So we can always appeal to government. We know that they will do it, but they should do it promptly. And then we are saying that is the issue about the funds not being there, or is an issue of a clear, misplaced priority. That's what we want government to come and tell us. We want to know what really is the issue at stake here.
Right.
Is the money not there, or is the money is there, but there is a misplaced priority? We just want to know that fact.
You are a National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations. How far does your voice go? What kind of table do you sit at? The question you just asked is what is prompting this particular question I'm asking you. I'm expecting that by now you should know, you should have access to the Ministry of Education. Is it that you are shut out, you don't know exactly what's happening as the National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations?
Yes, as you rightly said, we are the major stakeholders in education. And whatever intervention that government puts in place, we are the direct beneficiaries. But over the years, government has not given us a listening ear. Any time we knock at their door for us to dilate issues and see where we can place a finger on whatever and even solve issues amicably, we are not giving the audience, to the extent that they even try to break our fronts and it become and set guidelines for our association, which is really registered and autonomous. So this is where we find ourselves now, that we have not received any kind of listening ear from the part of the ministry and that of GES.
Right.
The politics has been so much. Anytime you talk about issues, then you are placed in a particular corner, branding a particular colors, which we are not partisan. So this is where we find ourselves now. Our voices must be heard, but just that the doors of ministry have always been locked up on us.
I'm grateful for your time this evening. That's Deputy PR of the National Council of Parent Teachers Association. We've still got Mr. Nochu Kotoye online. And for you, this is not only about the children per se. Your government or your party comes into power on January 7, 2025. And so there's going to be a rollover of this for you. Do you suspect anything funny happening with regards to the non-payment of these monies?
Yeah, a few months ago, I came out with a statement that the new government that will take office in January will inherit an indebtedness of over 6 billion on the part of the Ministry of Education. Nobody from government has come to deny it. And I can tell you for sure that that is what is going to happen. When we come into office, what is necessary to be done immediately to make sure that students going back to school on time is not affected, we will do so. I can assure you that we will not disappoint Ghanaians. But we're going to carry out an investigation into all these delays. What have they done with the various rounds of money given the Ministry of Education, by the Ministry of Finance. We will go into all these things. And we need to do what the President has said, the incoming President has said, that there will be a stakeholder engagement 6 months into his government so that we chart a way forward for education in general in this country, not only the free senior high school, but all other aspects of education. But I can assure you that the pressing issues of WAEC and that of the secondary or senior high schools will be handled as soon as power is handed over to us. If this government
for your time this evening
before the 7th of January.
I'm grateful for your time this evening. That's Peter Nochukoto. He is a ranking member on the Education Committee and MP for Akachi North. Still on education, the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, has issued a warning of an indefinite strike if government fails to address long-standing grievances again by December 31. This decision is contained in a press statement that was issued on December 23, 2024. I'm joined by labor experts, Mr. Austin Gummy. Just to understand, we have had a lot of these calls coming. Mr. Gummy, do you suspect that this is largely due to the fact that there is going to be a change in government and more so a different party at the helm of affairs?
It is not entirely unusual for labor unions and people who have outstanding cases like that of CTAG to register their concern in the midst of a transition period, because they want the incoming government be aware of the kind of situation they find themselves in. Because they certainly know, by their standard, they do know that the outgoing government is virtually resisting the passage of mini budget that will accommodate them for the first quarter. So they virtually have closed their ears to everything. They are not solving any problem now. So the timing, yes, can be problematic, but it's about registering their pain so that the incoming government, of course, will be aware. There is a transition period.
Right. So what do you make of this government in particular, this government's response to labor issues?
When you say this government, you mean the outgoing government or the incoming government?
The existing government.
Of course, for a very, very long time, everybody in this country do know that they have some labor-related problems and conflict-related matters have become part of their Achilles heel. They've not been able to resolve many such problems. They've stayed long. CTAG's case is a critical example. They've lived with this matter for many years. The National Labour Commission, the Ministry of Labour, and the various bodies that Educational Ministry, they've not been able to resolve matters of this nature. I think that is the reason why the matter has lived all these years. It is very strange, but not entirely surprising. The history, if you take it from right from Buzia's time to this time, is the same governance structure with the MP. So it's not entirely strange that they've not been able to resolve many such matters. During the time of Nana Akomia, when it was minister, a little bit, it was much bit better. Since then, we've not had industrial peace in the scale on which we should have it. That was standing. I think that's why they have a change of government. So let's see what this would translate to.
How should the incoming government position itself, seeing that a lot of these concerns have been raised by different unions, particularly about the non-payment of arrears? How should it position itself to handle this so that it doesn't generate into more chaos?
I think we've not been able to live up to the labor law that we have properly, from the labor unions themselves, many of them, employers, even in the private sector. The Labour Commission in recent days have been doing a yeoman's job, but I think by and large we have a government that have had an experience in handling labor-related matters for many, many years, and so they have a stock and wealth of knowledge, particularly the president himself. So I think that they have the capacity. They should be able to work together with the unions. What it means is that by midnight of 6th January, every union and every other person having labor-related matters must cease action, because this government shall not be introduced to that. If they approach them normally and it will be handled through the processes, and the government feels after this, they are seated properly, because they need to have a minister responsible for labor relations so that they can be able to address the issues through the structures. For now, the people who are at the helm of affairs at the various ministries are still there. Even though the ministers may be going away, the deputy ministers may be going away, the people who are key records of the government and who handle some of these things do not have the understanding and appreciation of how the new government philosophy about labor relations may be. So everybody will have to relax and wait and give the government opportunity to be able to tackle the issue after putting together their cabinet before they can bring about any such dissensions as the case may be.
Right. Thank you for your time this evening. Austin Gami is a labor expert, and he's just been sharing his thoughts with us on that announcement by CTAC to embark on an indefinite strike if their concerns are not met by government. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne Television with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Now, the New Patriotic Party has disclosed plans to establish an election review committee aimed at analyzing the factors behind its recent loss and charting a path for a more successful future. The committee, according to National Chairman Stephen Ayensu's team, will also explore a constitutional review for the process of parliamentary and presidential elections. Obed Kingaglo has more.
Having suffered a heavy defeat in both the presidential and parliamentary elections, the New Patriotic Party is hoping to stage a strong comeback.
It's a difficult time for us as a party, but we are resilient people. We must and we will rise again from this defeat. We will be reorganizing ourselves for the battles of tomorrow. Fellow party members, this means we cannot give up.
Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Stephen Ayensu's team, indicated that as part of efforts for a stronger comeback in 2028, the party will set up an effective and objective elections review committee to assess the outcome of the 2024 elections.
The committee will engage all party stakeholders and the general public on the factors and circumstances leading to our defeat. We have a firm belief that the work of the election review committee will enable our people to express their concerns and to bring out suggestions and reforms, changes, and other critical issues necessary to restructuring our party.
According to Stephen Ayensu's team, the party will not only assess the election results, but also consider a constitutional review of the processes for the selection of presidential and parliamentary candidates.
One critical area that must occupy the attention of the Election Review Committee is the possible need for constitutional amendments. and the restructuring of the party's internal decision-making processes, particularly on the mode of electing presidential, parliamentary candidates, and party executives, among others.
With an eye on the 2028 elections, the New Patriotic Party is signaling an era of introspection and reforms as it seeks to reposition itself as a dominant political party in the country. Reporting for GHOne News, Obed Kingaglo, National Headquarters, New Patriotic Party.
Clearly, members of the New Patriotic Party are unhappy about this defeat by the party in the 2024 elections. We've seen commentary on social media. We've also heard some analysis right here on GHOne Television and Star FM. But what does this really mean for the party, and what exactly is at stake? We've been joined by Professor Ali Seidu. He's head of the Political Science Department at the University of Ghana. Grateful for your time here this evening, Prof. So let's look at this scenario. This is not the first time a political party in Ghana has decided to retreat, reorganize, re-strategize, and find out what caused their loss. Now, when you listen to the commentary from political analysts and even some members of the party itself, you get a sense that some people saw this coming and that it was not a surprise sprung on the party. Do you agree with that assertion?
Okay, thank you so much. I think yes and then no. Now, as a political party, when you are facing a major election, a very crucial election, there is bound to be a lot of research, a lot of listening, and then followed by policy. So I believe the NPP conducted a lot of research to find out their chances of winning. But just like in any other institution, there is bound to be acceptability. People are bound to accept findings of research survey. They are bound to accept the complaints of the grassroots within the party. They are bound to accept the complaints of even people with stature in the party. Others may also not agree, because sometimes the complaints that they may get may be affecting people who are very important in the party. And sometimes the decision to implement the findings, either step down those particular individuals or minimize their efforts in the party, will be subject to debate. So you wouldn't get people agreeing to a whole lot of things. For example, in the NPP, around 2002 coming forward, there was a lot of complaints about the attitude of the finance minister, and some people within the political party who doesn't answer calls, doesn't listen to the complaints of the grassroots. Fast forward, about 40 MPs in the NPP came out stronger and said that Ken Ofori must step down. And that in itself caused a lot of confusion in the party. There were people who sided with the resistance, and there were people who were in favor of Ken. So you tend to see those things coming up. But whenever the eventuality happens, when they face the consequence, that's how they will now remember that at least if you had listened more than what we did, if you had taken action more than what we did, maybe this would have been averted. So when you face a defeat of this kind, there are two things you can do. Listen more. So that has to do with what? Either you do post-mortem election survey, or you do research, or you set up a committee in the manner that the NDC did after their 2016 defeat, especially where the defeat is magnanimous. No, is that the right word to use? It's gargantuan. Forgive me if I can use that word. Where the difference is just small, you can say that we did our best. Maybe we're not lucky. But this one, over 1.6 vote difference, and they have lost close to over 50 seats in parliament. And the margin of victory is so wide that something has to be done. So this time, people are listening. So they need to go back to the drawing board. And I agree. One, they should let their researchers go out and find out what's happening. The party should set up a committee, the kind of what the NDC did after their embarrassing defeat in 2016, to be able to listen to the views. So the first part is listening more. But the second part is actually implementing the findings of the commission or the committee or the research work that will be done. Because even where they get the results and they can't implement it, we're going to go back to the same cycle after every 5 years. So where people are willing to listen more and to enforce the findings of the work of the committee or commission or whatever will be done with that fear of favor, then they can rescue the party, recover the confidence that they have lost, re-energize their base, and be able to move forward in 2028 or 2023 in a more forceful manner.
Prof, there are those who believe that this really may not have anything to do with the performance of this government and the NPP, but it is just a cycle of the Ghanaian voter. After 8 years, there's a lot of fatigue and there's a lot of apathy. We have seen, you just made assertion to that, the NDC do a similar thing in 2016 with the Professor Abutre committee, where they sat down, assessed their performance, and came back stronger. Do you see this as another thing for the books, something to calm the angry support base, or this is really something that is meant to make a difference?
Far from policing the grassroots, I think the NPP has to sit down, do a lot of introspection in a very scientific manner. That's one. And two, they should be willing to implement the findings. You see, I do agree that sometimes politicians don't learn. That this whole thing of every 8 years, they get so arrogant. There's so much disconnect between them and the grassroots that had voted for them. There's a lot of corruption and embezzlement of public funds. The needs of the people are ignored. All those things come in. And that has to do with performance and attitude of government. So if you look at this year, the performance of the Akufo-Addo's government had a lot to do with the way people voted. I know every 8 years there is this de facto tradition that once you've governed for 8 years, people get fed up. People don't get fed up because of the party, because you have spent 8 years. People get fed up of your attitude and behavior within the 8-year period. So even if you are in power for 8 years, you are responsive to the needs of the citizens, you are transparent, you are accountable, you try as much as possible to meet their needs, you are very humble and not arrogant and not power drunk. Definitely, even if you are going to lose, it will be less. Or you can even break the 8. The NPP has sought to break the 8 using what? Their achievement. And definitely, Ghanaians were not happy or pleased with the achievement. So I don't think it's just for the books. Once you get it right and you are willing to implement it, when you are in the position and win power and you continue to implement the findings whilst you are in government, there's a likelihood that you can break the 8. But if you do it and you begin to follow the findings rigorously whilst you are in the position, then when you win power, you put up a different behavior other than what the reports, the say findings recommended for you. Definitely you fall out with Ghanaians. So after every 8 years, we have seen in other democracies where one party has governed for almost 50 years, 20 years, and it's the same party. Even in those democracies, people are more discerning and more rational than we are here. So I think that if the right thing is done, a scientific analysis of the reasons why they lost the election, and they are willing to implement the findings both in opposition, and then it will guide them when they are in government, they can do better than they are doing. So I think that this has to be done in a very scientific manner to start with, so that all other things will be added to that kind of scientific inquiry. And not just do it and throw it away. Implement it when you are in the position. That will bring you back to power. And when you come to power, don't forget about it, because that will let you break the 8 or maintain your government relevance after the 8-year period.
Thank you so much, Professor Alidu Seidu there. He is head of the University of Ghana Political Science Department, sharing his thoughts about the NPP's decision to sit down and look at its performance in the just ended 2024 elections. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne Television with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. We've got a lot more to come, including President-elect John Dramani Mahama reaffirming dedication to promoting boxing. Stay with us.
Kinako.
Get ready for the ultimate celebration of African culture, the African
Thank you so much for staying here on News Tonight with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Let's do some other stories now. A fellow at the Ghana School on Internet Governance and Cybersecurity consultant is urging stakeholders in data collection to be bold enough to enforce laws that are breached. This is in response to election 2024's targeted messaging with details of voters left unchecked despite a series of data breaches. Speaking to GHOne and Star News, cybersecurity expert Emmanuel Mingle has requested stakeholders get to the core of the matter.
We have the Ghana Data Protection Agency, and we have other stakeholder agencies, including the Cybersecurity Authority. And none of them, I did not really see, like, let's say, a concrete push or a call from anyone. It was individuals out there who were possibly asking that how is it that our data went to these parties in the first place? Because, I mean, the data was very targeted. For me, I saw that the data was very targeted, and it was something like I wondered, like, if this is it means that in the collection of the data, it was even collected in a way that it was able to target at a very granular level. So if you are in a particular community, you'd have messages that, okay, this presidential candidate is coming here, and then this presidential candidate is coming here, and that actually brings about a lot of concern. And I believe it's one of the things that we'd have to look at, especially with the Data Protection Agency and all of that, because if let's say an individual, for example, breaches someone's privacy, it's something that they tend to take up, or maybe an agency does that. With this not getting out of hand, it's about the laws, right? And then being bold enough to enforce it under any circumstance. I would say that, you know, with Ghana, our laws are very much extensive. You talk about even the data privacy law in itself is very robust in itself.
We'll take a breather now and bring you business updates shortly. It's the festive season, and as usual, there's a lot of excitement, and that excitement trickles down to the market. Well, we are picking different signals on the markets this time round. Vendors and shoppers have been telling us why they're exactly not enthused, and the fact that they're struggling to meet expectations due to economic hardship.
There's a market in India. I feel they never go. We have been marketing about 3 days, 4 days. Min kukrum yanzunka. Last year, every day, we are at the min kukrum. But there's a market in there, and I feel grounds on you run 24 moon pay. And then they will say, "Be a baby Jacana, this time around the Ukraine." And then Kamuba and Kamuza man for Quadia Motadi, but empty. Yeah, and you know, I feel they are Nkoyi.
Oh, this year the market is very, very slow. Okay. The market is not good at all. Like last year the market was good. From 15 to 31st, the market was good. But this one, we are not seeing anything at all. This Christmas, maybe I'm not seeing anything. If maybe someone is seeing something there, maybe like this,
what do you
see?
Oh, so far as you won't quite celebrate and when we are saying Sikano so yet, but our life is more precious than whatever.
I don't celebrate Christmas because the system is too hard. We are suffering from money and stuff. So I'm not sure that you celebrate Christmas. It is only this year because things have been very tough in market and stuff.
So you heard there some vendors and shoppers expressing why there's not much enthusiasm, even though we are in the festive season. Now, despite intensified efforts to combat the menace, the Forestry Commission has expressed concern over the persistence of illegal mining in forest reserves and protected areas. According to its Chief Executive Officer, John Alote, the issue has escalated to a national security level. He made this statement during the 2024 end-of-year CEO Awards and Recognition Ceremony here in Accra.
Despite intensified efforts to combat illegal activities in forest reserves, the menace continues unabated. A total of 525 individuals have been arrested during the year, with various equipment used in these illegal activities either confiscated or destroyed. The situation has been further exacerbated by the Environmental Protection Regulations LI 2462 enacted on June 23, 2022, which permits mining in forest reserves under certain conditions. According to the Forestry Commission, illegal mining activities have resulted in the destruction of approximately 4,726 hectares of land across 34 of the country's 288 forest reserves. The Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, John Alote, expressed grave concern, stating that the issue has escalated into a national security threat.
Illegal mining dominated the headlands across the country. I would like to say that the menace was and still is at a level where it has assumed national security proportions. There was increased public outcry. The government responded by deploying military to deal with the situation, while effort is being made to revoke the Environmental Protection Regulation LI 2462 of 2022.
Despite these challenges, the Commission remains committed to restoring degraded forest areas.
I can report that as of September 2024, 11,743 hectares of degraded land have been planted both by the Commission and the private sector. As well, 29,388 hectares of existing plantations have been maintained.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Forestry and MP for Minsha North, Akwesi Kunedu, called on the Commission and the public to prioritize protecting the Greening Ghana initiative.
Let me treat everyone here to be a watchdog for these trees so that their full benefits and funds invested in them may be realized. It is my hope that these trees grow to maturity and combat the menace of climate change, which is eating into the existence of humankind. Maintaining these trees should be the duty of us, all of us, and the benefit affects us. In the absence, it is very detrimental to our existence.
The statements were made during the CEO's end-of-year awards and recognition ceremony, where several outstanding staff members of the Commission were honored.
It's now time for sports here on News Tonight, and Benjamin Yamwa has joined us. Benjamin, the president-elect has been saying a lot of stuff about sporting, boxing, and many others.
In fact, that's very much true. So I've got details of that and some other stories are coming up in sports, but that will be after this. GHOne Drama has affirmed its administration's dedication promoting boxing and other sporting disciplines in Ghana, aiming to create greater opportunities for the Olympics. Recognized as the visionary, President Mahama received accolades from the boxing fraternity to the
On Monday, December 23, the president-elect visited Bukom Boxing Arena to support his son, Sharaf Mahama, whose Legacy Rise Sports Promotions hosted the Ultimate Legacy Fight Night. During the event, John Dramani Mahama was invited into the ring by the ring announcer, joining key stakeholders in the boxing community. Led by the Ghana Boxing Authority President Abraham Kota-Nikwe, the group presented John Dramani Mahama with a commemorative photo honoring his impact on boxing.
We also have here Aiki Powers, who's the president of the Boxers Association. We have Charles Sporting, is also being represented.
In his remarks, John Dramani Mahama expressed gratitude for the recognition and reiterated his commitment to developing sport across the board.
We all love football, but football is not the only game. It's not the only sport. When we were young, we used to stay up till 4 a.m. to watch Azuma Nelson fight in Australia. We're going to recapture those days here. When we go for the Olympics and you see a country won 67 gold medals, It is not only football, it's not only sports. It is skiing, it is all kinds of judo and everything. So let's build up all the sports and all the talents that we have so that Ghana can go to a game and come back with 20 gold medals, 30 gold medals, instead of just one bronze medal in either boxing or
And that's it for sports, hoping that indeed he sticks by the plan he has for other sports aside football in Ghana. That's it for sports.
Benjamin Yama there with the latest from the world of sport. Now we'll bring you international news updates. Now, the House Ethics Committee has accused former Representative Matt Gaetz, President-elect Donald Trump's former pick for Attorney General, of paying for sex, possessing illegal drugs, and having sexual relations with an underage girl. According to the panel's report, which was released on Monday, it found that from at least 2017 to 2020, Mr. Gaetz regularly paid women for engaging in sexual activity with him, and in 2017 he also engaged in sexual activity with a 17-year-old girl. The Ethics Committee found that from 2017 to 2019, he used or possessed illegal drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy, on multiple occasions, and accepted lavish gifts in permissible amounts. And that's how we end this edition of News Tonight with me, Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. Do log on to starfmonline.com for more news. Thanks for your company once again. Have a very good evening.